I want to take on what I would call a tough subject and share some thoughts with you and maybe go into the weeds a little bit about something that's being discussed a lot. And to introduce this topic, I want to read just some excerpts of a letter that came into my office. And let me just jump right in. It is with great sadness that I'm reaching out to you to express my concern regarding the recent ruling by the Supreme Court regarding immunity to the president. This writer goes on to say, it talks about the decision and then says, thereby making the president a man above the law. I'm writing on you to call upon you as our elected legislator. You have the power to introduce and sponsor amendments and bills to ensure that no man is above the law and that we are all held to the same standard. What could be more reasonable than that? Now, let me talk about why it's a little bit complicated. Let me first of all point out, I'm not here to defend or to not defend President Trump, simply to talk a little bit more specifically about what it means to be above the law, and when we use that phrase, what it means. Now, the best I can understand, that phrase kind of came into popularity with Richard Nixon and Watergate, and we've frequently said ever since then, no man should be above the law. But let me change your paradigm just a little bit and rephrase that. No one is above the law, not even the president, as long as the law you're talking about is the Constitution. So is it possible that we're confusing the Department of Justice law or laws from Congress with the Constitution? And it's important that we distinguish between the law and law enforcement. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. Law enforcement, the Department of Justice, the state and county laws, et cetera, that go on. And the law, as I'm talking about it here, is the Constitution. The president is not above the law, but he needs to be above law enforcement. Why? So imagine for a moment if we had a Constitution that said the president was subject to the Department of Justice. That is a police state. And the framers of the Constitution, I believe, knew that and wrestled with this very difficult decision of giving this power of immunity to a person, the president, versus making that president subject to a department like Department of Justice. What would happen if the Department of Justice was the top rung and the president was underneath that? And I think you could see that that also is very problematic. It's also important in this discussion to take out the personality of Donald Trump or Bill Clinton or President Biden or Obama or anybody else, and talk about the situation that we want regardless of whomever is president of the United States, not just our current situation. And I get it. It's imperfect that a president is immune, but it's necessary to perform the type of democracy that we want. Law enforcement has to be accountable to the president, and the president has to be accountable to the people. I believe that the founders put into the Constitution that accountability primarily through elections and through the way that we actually remove a president, impeachment. I get it. That's very difficult. We have seen that. I think that's also intended by our founders, that it would be very difficult to remove a president. We don't need an agency, let's say the Department of Justice, not elected by the people and not mentioned in the Constitution to exercise power over the president. That's why I think the Supreme Court got it right on this decision, and I think that we need to change our dialogue a little bit to no man should be above the law to no man should be above the Constitution. That's how I read it. I'd love to hear your comments and see if you feel differently.